Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Marion from Marion Crochets. So summer is here and it will be a crime for you to visit the beach without the right attire. During this tutorial, I am going to show you how to crochet this beautiful beach dress. I promise it is very easy to achieve. I most definitely love the back and the length and also the V at the front. If you'd like to learn how to crochet this dress, stick around and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and please leave a comment. For this tutorial, these are the materials that you will need during the construction of this dress. You need your measuring tape and the rest of these materials, and most importantly is the yarn that you will be using. I'm going to be using robin yarn. It is 100% acrylic. You may use medium weight, but since I do not have that, I'm going to be doubling these strands to achieve medium, that is DK weight. The yarn that I'm using, I mentioned it 100% acrylic. This ball is 50 grams and I used 5 of them. For that, I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook. Grab your hook, grab your tape measure. You will need to take your measurements as we go along. This dress is worked from top to bottom. So to get the bottom measurement, you take your bust measurements, you divide that by 4. Mine is 34. If I divide that by 4, I'm getting 8.5. So we will start from the top part, working downwards until at the base we achieve 8.5 inches. Get your bust measurements, divide that by 4. That is the measurement that we are going to hit, and then we work 2 of those. This dress is worked using mesh stitches. So to begin our work, we are going to make a slip knot. This is how I make my slip knot. And then we are going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Then you will yarn over and make your first double crochet in the very first chain that you made. Yarn over, pull through, you have 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You have just made your first double crochet, and this first triangle, the next row is going to have 2 triangles. So we will chain 5, turn our work, and then we are going to make the first double crochet in that space. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we are going to chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over and place the next double crochet on top of chain 3. Yarn over, pull through, you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. So as you can see, we have just made our second row, and this row is having 2 triangles. So to continue, we are going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then you turn your work. You're going to turn your work and insert your hook in that very first space, yarn over and make a double crochet, and then you chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over and go into the next space and work a double crochet like that. Yarn over and work 2 chains, and then on top of chain 3, 1, 2, 3, that is where we are going to make our next double crochet. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So we are going to continue. We just made row 3 and now we are starting row 4. You chain your 5 and then turn your work and go into that very first space with a double crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2 and go into the next space with a double crochet. You realize we are not going on top of each stitch, we are going into the space with the double crochets. And then you are going to chain 2 and go into the next space with a double crochet, and to finish the row and to make that increase we are going to chain 2 and go on top of 1, 2, 3, the third chain, and do the last double crochet. And as you can see, we are increasing as we go up. We started with 1 and now we have 4 boxes. The previous one had 3 and now the next one is going to have 5 as you go up and up. So just remember, we are chaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turning our work and going into that very first box with a double crochet, and then chaining 2 and going into the next box with a double crochet, chain 2 and go into the next with a double crochet, chain 2 and go into the next with a double crochet, and to finish the row you are going to also chain 2. This particular last box is acting as an increase and also to finish up on the row. So on top of that, chain 3, you're going to place your last double crochet. Now as you can see, we just made 5. Now if you compare with this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means I have 12 boxes on the base one. 9, 10, 11, 12 boxes. Now we are going to keep increasing, and as you can see, I have hit my 8.5, which is my bust measurement divided by 4. So as you increase with yours, just increase as you keep measuring to achieve your bust measurement. So at this point, I have my 2 triangles. These are very identical, as you can see, and they are just 12 rows each. Now we are going to connect the 2 using a single crochet right there, but before we do that, let's measure to just ensure that we have the correct measurements. If I stretch this a little bit, it's going to hit 17 inches definitely, because I measured as I go. So now we're going to just insert our hook right on that loop and connect to the next, or rather insert on the next triangle and do a single crochet to connect the 2 together. So you will chain 1 and cut your yarn like that. Just like that, we have connected the 2, and the next part that we're going to work is to just increase this part until we'll hit our belly button. So we are working on the bodies of the dress. So from here, we're going to work rows and rows until we get to our belly button, that is our waist area. Now, you will be chaining 5 as always, and then going into that very first chain 2 space and doing a double crochet, chain 2 and go into the next chain 2 space and do a double crochet as I'm doing here. So all we're doing is just chain 2, go into the next space and do a double crochet, and we'll do this until we get to the mid stitch where we will do something different. It's not really different, it's just how we place the double crochet that is going to be different. So as you continue to work, just remember we are placing that double crochet inside the chain 2 space and not on top of the double crochet. So as you can see, we are approaching the mid stitch. I'm left with 1 stitch to that. So chain 2, insert a double crochet in that space, and then we are also going to chain 2, and insert this double crochet in that space between the 2 triangles where we connected them, like that. No one is going to notice because we will clean off this space using single crochets once we are done, and it will remain intact. So you will chain 2 and continue working your double crochets. Go into the immediate next space and do your double crochet. This is what you should be having at this point. Chain 2 and continue working your double crochet in the spaces of the chain 2 from the previous row. So just chain 2, work a double crochet in the space like that. Chain 2, work a double crochet in the space like that. So this is what you should be having, and once you get towards the end of the row, we are going to do that double crochet, chain 2, and on top of the 3rd chain from where we started the previous row, that is where we place our last double crochet. So this is what you should be having at this point. Now to do the next row, we are going to chain 5 as always, turn our work and go into the very first chain 2 space from the previous row and do a double crochet. Chain 2, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain 2, go into the next space with a double crochet like that. We're doing this until we get to the end. I am at that point at the end where we are doing that increase. So we will place that double crochet on top of the chain 3 from the previous row. This, my dear, is an increase. So we are increasing until we get our hip measurements, and by then we'll have reached the belly button around the waist area. Now, since from here all the way to the belly button nothing is going to be changing, we are just going to be chaining 5, turn our work, and placing 1 double crochet in each and every space from the previous row, and chaining 2 in between those 2 double crochets. Now you are going to make rows as you move downwards until you hit your belly button. Now when at the belly button, definitely you won't have achieved your hip measurement, because that is what we are going to target next. We will work a chain that will connect one end to the other. I will show you how to go about it, but I'm just explaining right now. We will work a chain from one end to the other to achieve that hip measurement that now we will use as we work the skirt area. So I want you to be working this part as you put your work against your body to ensure that you have hit your belly button, or rather you have worked the bodies. So continue working your rows. They have to be more and more rows until you attain that belly button. At this point, I have reached my waist, that is at the belly button. And as you can see, I've been increasing 1 stitch on each and every row, and this is what we have at this point. So let's get our measuring tape and see how many inches I have achieved at this point. Remember, I want us to target our hip measurement. So as you place your piece, you should be adjusting it to see where you're going to do that chain. This piece that I'm leaving here, we are going to do a chain right there to achieve our hip measurement. My hips are 38 inches, so I'm going to add a few inches here to connect these two ends as we work the skirt area. Now I added a total number of 10 rows. You can add more because we are of different heights. I'm a small girl, and also this one fits very well on the mannequin. So as you can see, it's 14 inches, but yours could be more or less. Now at this point, we are going to do a chain long enough to connect these two. And the chain that we are going to make should be a multiple of 3 plus 2. So I'm going to do 29. So that means 27, which is divisible by 3 plus 2. Remember, we are doing chain 2 and 1 double crochet, so that accounts for the multiple of 3. So do your chain. It should be a little loose. Don't tighten your chains, because we are counting on the stretchness of this part. And once you're done, you're going to, you see how stretchy mine is? We are going to connect the chain to the other side of the dress, so that the part that we're going to work next is the skirt part. Now we're going to cut. After you connected and chained 2, you're going to cut that part, cut the yarn, and also just make sure your measurements are right. You see, as I'm working, I'm working with my tape measure. You see, I said my hip measurements is 38, so it gives me 38, and it gives me that allowance, a little bit of an allowance. It can stretch up to 40 inches. So we are going to mark the mid stitch of that cord that we just crocheted, and mark it using a stitch marker like this. And then from there, that is going to be our point of origin. All our stitches are going, and rows are going to originate from there. You will make a slip knot and insert your hook right at the mid stitch, our point of origin. And from here, we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and skip 2 stitches and go into the third with a double crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches and go into the third with a double crochet. Chain 2, and go into the third, 1, 2, 3, and do a double crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, go into the third with a double crochet. This is why I said you should work your chains loosely. And then chain 2, go into the third with a double crochet, like that. And now the last part, we are going to chain 2 and go into, skip that part and go into the space, the chain 2 space on the dress with a double crochet. We are done with the chain part, and now we are going to work on the dress around until we get to the chain part. So chain 2, go into the next space with a double crochet. Chain 2, go into the next space with a double crochet. Chain 2, go into the next space with a double crochet. You will work this all around until you get to the part where you connected the dress. Chain 2, go into the next with a double crochet. Chain 2, go into the next with a double crochet. Once you get to this part, as you can see, I'm left with just 2 stitches. Go into the next with a double crochet. Chain 2, go into the next with a double crochet. That is the last before the chain part. And now we are going to work on that chain by chaining 2, skipping 2 chains, 1, 2, and go into the next with a double crochet right there. Make your chains loosely, please. Go into that chain with a double crochet, chain 2, and go skip 2 chains, skip 2 chains and go into the next with a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 chains, 1, 2, go into the third with a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches and go into the third with a double crochet right there, chain 2, chain 2 and go into the third with a double crochet. Just make sure the stitches that you have on this part are the exact number of stitches that you do on the other side. Like this part that you marked off should be the exact middle part of your dress. And then once you're done, you will go into that space and do a slip stitch like that. Remember, we have done our slip stitch inside that space. So this is what you should be having by the end of this row. So we're done with that row, and you should go back to double check that the number of stitches you have on each side are the same. I have 6 stitches on each side, and this is generally what you should be having at this point. We are now working the skirt area, and this is going to be our point of origin, and we will be chaining 4 each and every time we start a row. So you chain your 4, turn your work, and go into that very first stitch in that space and do a double crochet. So chain 2, go into the next space and do a double crochet, chain 2, go into the next space and do a double crochet like that, chain 2, go into the next space and do a double crochet, chain 2, go into the space with a double crochet. So we're going to do this until we get to the very end of that row. I'm coming towards the end of the row and I'm left with 2 spaces. I will chain 2, put my double crochet in that space, chain 2, listen carefully, chain 2 and skip that space, make a slip stitch in that space where we started the row, and we are done. Skipping that means we are maintaining the number of boxes on each and every row without making an increase. You will chain 4 and go into that first box and do a double crochet on the very next row. You see? And then don't worry about that box. You will see how it turns out while we complete this row. Continue working your chain 2s. Chain 2, go into the very next space and do a double crochet like that. We are going to do this until we get to the end of the row. I'm coming towards the end of the row and I'm left with 2 spaces. I will place my double crochet inside of that first space, do my chain 2, skip that space and do a slip stitch on top of that stitch like that in that space right there, and voila, we are done with 3 rows. Now to start the next row, we are going to chain 4 as always. Turn our work, always turn, go in through that very first stitch and do a double crochet, chain 2, go into the next space with a double crochet, chain 2, go into the next space with a double crochet, we are going to be working this part until we attain the length of the dress. It could be short or long like mine, but the only difference that will be there is the number of rows that you attain. So just keep working those rows. It could be a midi, a long, or a mini dress. So continue working rows and rows, and once you're done, we will come back here and now clean off this part. We will do a clean row of single crochets on top here, and then after we're done, we will attach our sleeves, or rather our straps, to the dress. So this is what we should be having at the moment. You see how straight that seam is. Make sure to turn your work all the time. Keep turning as you work that seam. So continue working. Remember to chain 4. Insert your hook in that very first space. Chain 2. Go into the next space. Chain 2. Go into the next space with a double crochet, and you will work this row and the next rows until you complete the length of the dress. Remember to turn your work, don't forget. If you're watching so far, I'm very sure you're making this dress. Leave a comment in the comment section below and tell me how far you have come with the dress. And if you have not, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. After working rows and rows of my dress, I have attained 40 inches from the waist down. It's 40 inches. Yours can be longer or shorter according to your desired length. After you're done with your dress, this is the front part. It can't all fit in this shoot, so I'm just trying to squeeze it in. Now, after you're done, you will definitely, after that slip stitch, you will chain 1 and cut your yarn. And the next part that we are going to do is cleaning off that upper part and doing the straps. So make a slip stitch and insert your hook in the mid stitch. Remember the mid stitch that we started with. That is where we are doing that first chain. And now we are going to do 2 single crochets in that box. Make 2 single crochets inside there. And then you will go into the next box and do 2 single crochets. 1, 2, go into the next and do 2, 1, 2, cross over to the next and do 2 single crochets. We are inserting 2 single crochets in each and every box. So it doesn't matter, you could be having more boxes, so just place 2 single crochets in each and every one of them. We are done with the lower part. We are now going to go upwards towards the strap. So let's go up, placing 2 single crochets in each and every space. Each and every row is getting 2 single crochets. So we will work this part until we get to the strap area. That is where we will do something different. I have worked my part until I'm at the very last box. I will insert my 2 single crochets and locate the very first stitch that we did. At that point, I'm going to place also 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Remember, at this point, I'm placing those 2 single crochets in the stitch, and then inside the space I will add those 2 single crochets and now start working downwards towards that part where we joined the two triangles. So I'm trying to work this hanging yarn inside of the stitches so that it's concealed in there as I work down, placing 2 single crochets in each and every box. So I'm coming towards the end, or rather towards the middle part where we have that special stitch of ours. Now I will just place 2 single crochets on the last row of the left part, and then cross over to the right side and place those 2 single crochets in the immediate box. We will just ignore everything right there and go to the other side, skip over to the other side and continue making those 2 single crochets in each and every box. So there's nothing special or nothing different really. It's just cleaning it off and placing those 2 single crochets in each and every box. We're just making sure that everything is clean and intact, and you will work towards the tip of that dress. And now, just as we did on the other side, we will place those 2 single crochets, locate the mid stitch, place 2 single crochets in there like that, and then go back into the space, still the same space, and do 2 single crochets inside there like that. Once we're done, we'll go to the next space and do 2 single crochets. As you can see, I'm still carrying my yarn inside those stitches to try and seal it and conceal it inside there as I work downwards. Of course, we will clean off and hide everything else later and weave in ends, to use the correct terms. So I'm going to work those 2 single crochets in each and every box until I get to the point of origin. I've reached the end and I'm left with 1 box. I will do my 2 single crochets in there and then locate the very first stitch where we started from and do a slip stitch on top of that single crochet and chain 1, and guess what, we are done, like completely done. The only remaining part is weaving in ends and doing the straps. Congratulations, you are about to slay in this dress. Thank you so much for always supporting me, for watching this video, and for liking it, and for leaving comments, and for encouraging me. So let's go ahead and place these damn straps already. So it goes without saying that the straps will originate from this point. Now I am going to be using 3 strands. Of course, if you're using medium weight, you will just double your strands. Since I've been doubling my fingering yarn, I am going to add another strand there, and then I have 3. And at this point, I'm going to be using a 4mm crochet hook. Remember, I've been using a 5mm crochet hook to work the dress. I will just add another. Rather, I'll go down 1 size and use a 4mm crochet hook to place the straps. This is how we go about it. You will make your slip knot. As always, whenever we are joining anything, we always make a slip knot. So you will make a slip knot and then locate the point where your straps will originate at the tip, you know, right there. And then that is where we will insert, not in there, just like at the tip right there. Yes, that is where you will insert your slip knots and start chaining. You're going to chain as many chains. Remember, whenever you leave some chains hanging, it adds some aesthetic value to the dress. If you've seen most of my dresses or other tops, they usually have like additional length on the straps. I like chaining my straps long. Don't be mean, just chain them as long as you want, and then you will cut and come attach the other side. And once you're done with both straps, you will weave in on your dress down there. Now make sure to crisscross your straps at the back, and at this point we are going to be weaving in, like, just identify the point of contact between the strap and the dress. And now you will use your hook to weave in and out of each and every of those double crochets on the first row of that skirt area of the dress. Remember, these straps are also acting as a functional touch on the dress because we used our hip measurement on this part, and we need these straps to hold our waist together very well and to make that part very flattering. As much as it's very beautiful, it is also very, very necessary. So after you're done with weaving in the ends and weaving in your straps, I'm sure you're very pleased with your dress. It was very easy to construct, as I promised. And now we're going to go ahead and slay our dress. I'm sure you will make that knot right there. See how beautiful those straps are. And let's put it on that mannequin and just get to flaunt and see how beautiful it is. I am definitely pleased with how this looks. I hope you love your dress. I want to see as many dresses as possible on my Instagram. My name is Marion and my account is Marion Crochets on Instagram, on Facebook, and even on X and TikTok. Tag me. I would like to see your work. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video, and definitely leave me a comment. Thank you so much for supporting me. Until next time, bye bye.